Son Gohan's burst of chi has reached the height of nearly 2000 combat effectiveness, completely surpassing Raditz. Of course, this breath is nothing to Vegeta, but it is incredibly strong to Son Goku and others. It's a pity that before everyone was shocked, Son Gohan's anger quickly faded like ice and snow melted. Then he rolled his eyes and entered a weak state. Hao Xuan did not faint directly. What's going on? How did Gohan suddenly become so strong just now? What did you do, Vegeta? Son Goku jumped over. Just looking at the expression on his face, he was more curious than worried about Son Gohan's situation. After all, Son Gohan is just letting go. As long as his physical strength recovers, there is no danger. Yeah, the anger just now was so terrifying, it's far stronger than all of us combined. Klin also leaned over. In fact, everyone else looked curious. Vegeta smiled slightly. It was clear in his heart, but there were still some uncertainties. I'll talk about this later. Goku, let me see your situation. Vegeta beckoned to Son Goku. Okay. Son Goku's eyes lit up, and he asked eagerly, can I be like Gohan, too? They could all tell that because Son Gohan had never practiced before, no matter how strong the chi burst out, he couldn't keep it. They could only let it burst out. But it's different when it's replaced by someone else. As long as the air is locked in the body, the combat effectiveness is increased several times. How could they not expect this kind of thing? I don't know yet, I want to see it. Vegeta did not give an accurate answer. But soon, he frowned. Can't it? Son Goku's face was inevitably disappointed. Vegeta said, your body is not the same as Gohan, Klin. Let me take a look at yours. Huh? Can I? Klin was a little surprised. Even Son Goku can't meet the requirements, he doesn't have this confidence. Vegeta didn't explain, he pulled Klin to check, his face showed a thoughtful expression again. No? Can Klin do it? Son Goku felt unbalanced when he saw Vegeta's expression. Perhaps because of the blood of the people on Earth. Vegeta guessed, and then said to Klin with a slight seriousness. I want to do an experiment, the process will be a bit dangerous, but if it succeeds, you can just like Gohan just like that. The sun exploded with great power. What about failure? Klin shrank his head and said nervously, will you die? I'm not sure about this. Vegeta jokingly said, if you die, I will let them ask Shenron to help you resurrect. Klin staggered, and his heart began to retreat. Or it's me, I'm also an Earthling. Yamcha stepped up and said, Klin has already died once, Shenron can't help him resurrect him a second time, it doesn't matter if it's me. Vegeta glanced at him somewhat unexpectedly, but he didn't expect this man to be quite courageous at the critical moment. In fact, few people who watch Dragon Ball like Yamcha. It's not because he took away the goddess from everyone's childhood, but Bulma said that Yamcha is very carefree and often goes to spend time and drink. When everyone was cultivating hard, he was the only one who couldn't keep up with his strength. In the end, he even left the big team. The first and only person who said he would quit. In addition, there are black spots in his personal resume. Let's not talk about being a desert bandit at the beginning. After the Boo chapter, he ran to work in the cowboy's shop in order to find someone easy to get along with, but was fired because he was too nervous. To sum up, this person may be considered justice, but his character is really not good. Anyway, Vegeta doesn't have a good impression of him, so he can develop his potential? It's better to find Tien Shinhan. Cough. Kling gave a dry cough and plucked up the courage to say, I'll do it myself, I believe in Vegeta. Baguette smiled and said, don't worry, although it is dangerous, it will not kill you. If there is an accident, a fairy bean will be enough to solve it. Klin just breathed a sigh of relief. This is the temple, and Kalinta is underneath. I want the fairy beans to be available at any time. In this regard, Yamcha is naturally not good at saying anything. Are you ready? I'm about to start. Klin swallowed and nodded, and a cloud of energy suddenly surged from Vegeta's hand, which instantly slapped Klin's abdomen. What? Klin's body convulsed, and he let out a scream. Kling. The faces of the others changed drastically, and Son Goku was about to pass immediately, but was stopped by Vegeta. Don't come here. Klin gritted his teeth and said to everyone. He clenched his teeth, his fists were tightly clenched, and there were blue veins beating on his bald head. Body cramps, big beads of sweat slipping off his forehead. It can be seen that he is enduring the pain with great perseverance. Baguette, Clint. Son Goku scratched his head anxiously. Everyone present felt that he had the deepest feelings for Klin. After all, he grew up and practiced together. Vegeta waved his hand and made a silent gesture. This is a process that must be experienced. The only thing he is not sure about is that he does not know how far the final effect will be. Boom. At this moment, a powerful breath burst out of Klin's body, and a white flame rose up. It's done. The effect seems to be good. Vegeta's eyes lit up. Okay. So strong. Son Goku and others who were still worried about Klin were dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. Klin's outburst is now stronger than Son Gohan just now. Vegeta made a simple judgment, and based on Raditz's combat effectiveness, he was 1500, Son Gohan had about 2000 just now, and Klin now has 2500. So strong. I feel a steady flow of power coming out of my body. Klin carefully controlled the chi that burst out of his body, and the originally huge white flames quickly fixed around his body. Although he hadn't practiced in the Celestial Temple, he was not very proficient in the control of chi. But after all, after many years of cultivation, it is still possible to just lock the breath and prevent the loss of energy. How on earth is this done? There is such a powerful force hidden in the blood of our people on Earth. The people around were already dumbfounded, and the Earthlings Yangsha and Tien Shinhan were even more excited. Son Goku's face was depressed. From what Vegeta said just now, he could hear that this is a power that only the people of the Earth can inspire. He had been a human being on Earth for more than 20 years, but only then did he learn that he was Saiyan. You should understand, Klin. Vegeta put his hands on his chest, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. He is really happy. It wasn't because of Klin's state, but because he had sensed in his own body by the way, it could also stimulate this power. Yes. Klin replied, with a look of excitement. You seem to help me get through the 2 meridians in my body, and then all my potential burst out. But soon, he calmed down again and analyzed. Although this state is very strong, but the physical strength and energy consumption are also much greater, it should not be able to persist for too long. The best you can think like this. Baguette smiled. The 2 meridians I helped you get through are called Rendu Second Meridian. Once these 2 meridians are connected, all the potential will burst out. Let's put this kind of the state is called the potential state. In the state of potential, you will gain more than 10 times the strength in a short period of time. This multiple should be increased with future practice. However, this kind of strength cannot be used frequently, and overloading can cause permanent damage to the body. Think. You must adapt to the greatest possible extent and exert this power, and work hard to increase your physical strength. With Vegeta's explanation, everyone basically understood what was going on. To put it simply, opening up the 2 channels of Ren and Du is equivalent to stimulating all the potential. When it is not used in normal times, closing the passageway has no effect on itself. Once the passage opening is opened, the power that is usually hidden in the body will not be used, it will burst out at one time, until the physical strength and energy are exhausted. The passage opening can also be actively closed. Of course, if this force is used too much, cell activity will be sharply reduced, greatly depleting vitality. Huh? So, only Earth people have these 2 meridians? Son Goku looked disappointed, and then asked strangely, then what's the situation with Gohan? Baguette explained. Although Gohan is your son, he also has half of the Earth's blood, so he has the second line of Ren and Du. And by coincidence, his second line of Ren and Du is in a congenital state. If it is an ordinary Earth person, of course it is fine, but he has half of the Saiyan bloodline, and his physique is inherently stronger than that of the Earth person. This causes his potential to burst out if he gets emotional and loses control of his strength. So I suggest that it is best to let him as soon as possible. He learned to control his anger. That's it. Son Goku seemed to understand. But he finally understood one thing. Son Gohan seems to be better than the purebred Saiyan and the purebred Earthlings. He is of course happy for his son as a father. It's just that when he thought that he didn't have those 2 meridians, he was so depressed. Son Goku looked at Vegeta with a look of expectation, and put his hands together and said, Baguette, since the people of the Earth have the second line of governing, then Saiyan should also have another line. Why don't you look for it again? Raditz was also unhappy next to him and said, Saiyan is a fighting nation. There is no reason why it is worse than this kind of miscellaneous hair on the Earth. You must have not seen it clearly. Raditz, how about letting my miscellaneous hair loosen your bones? Klin, who was still in a state of potential, smiled weirdly, clenching his fists. He can still remember that when Raditz just came to the door, he drew him away with a tail. Raditz's breath stagnated, pretending not to hear, and turning his head away. Just kidding, he's not a fool, the ghost is fighting this bald head at this moment. Even if he can't perceive chi, it doesn't mean he can't distinguish people whose strength is far better than him. Otherwise, he would have been beaten to death in the years he had been fighting in the universe. Saiyan has ways to improve his strength, of course. Vegeta said at this time. Really? Son Goku's eyes lit up and he was overjoyed. Come on, I'll do an experiment for you. Are you sure? Vegeta's expression became weird. Son Goku felt something wrong. but he gritted his teeth and nodded in response to the desire for strength. Okay. Okay. Vegeta pointed his head and said to Klin, Klin, you can go to Kalinta to get some fairy beans. Do you need fairy beans? Okay. Klin said to Vegeta at this time as a sacred decree, and directly shot towards Kalinta below in a state of potential. Also. Do you want fairy beans? Son Goku grunted and swallowed. Is it because Saiyan opens up the meridians, the process is much more dangerous than the humans on Earth? How did he know that Saiyan does not need any meridians, as long as he is resurrected from the dead? The effect is definitely much better than opening the meridians, because this is a permanent improvement of the body's strength. Boom. As soon as Klin left, a powerful breath broke out from the heavens. It's just that this chi didn't burst out all at once, but was divided into 3 stages, and 1 stage of improvement. Simply put, it is, boom. The breath suddenly increased by a large amount, surpassing Son Goku. Boom. The breath has improved a lot again, surpassing Raditz. Boom. For the 3rd time, Klin's breath has improved a lot, completely surpassing his potential state. What? Everyone subconsciously looked towards the place where the breath burst, and it was Piccolo. Even Vegeta was a little surprised. Isn't Piccolo from Namek? Do Namek people also have 2 lines of Ren and Du? Piccolo? Have you also opened up the 2 channels of Ren and Du? Son Goku swished over, what was called an imbalance in his heart. Everyone has surpassed him one after another. When Tien Shinhan and Yamcha both get through the 2 lines of Ren Du, won't he be the weakest? The gods were also very surprised, because when Vegeta explained the 2 channels of Ren Du, he actually looked for it in his own body, but he didn't find it. But why, Piccolo, who shares his life, can get through by himself? No. Piccolo's expression was a little weird. I can't find the position of Ren Du or am I? Vegeta knew this, and it was true that only the earthly man had the 2nd line of Ren and Du. But here comes the question. Since it is not through the 2 channels of Ren and Du, what is the current state of Piccolo? He could see that Piccolo also exploded in potential. Then you. Son Goku scratched his head for unknown reasons. Piccolo took a look at Vegeta and explained. After listening to Vegeta just now, I also tried to find the Ren Du meridian by myself, but failed to find it, but found a blocked acupuncture path in the head. And from the top going down, there are a total of 8 such acupuncture points, and I will try to get through the acupuncture points. As a result, I only opened up 3 blocked acupuncture points, and my breath increased 3 times. The next 5 couldn't be opened anyway. It should be the reason why my body strength is not enough. In this state, as described by Klin just now. The same, it should be the so-called state of potential, right? Piccolo usually doesn't have so many words, but this accident opened his potential state, and he was excited and said so much in one breath. At the same time, he also wanted to describe it in as much detail as possible and let Vegeta observe if there would be any side effects. 8-Gate Dunjia. The term came up in Vegeta's mind for the first time, and suddenly there was a feeling that the Dragon Ball world was broken. However, he went forward to help Piccolo to check it, and the result was indeed no problem, similar to the situation in which the people of the Earth opened up the Rendu meridian. These 8 blocked acupoints are really similar to the 8-door Dunjia in Hokage. Every time a blocked acupuncture point is opened, the breath can increase by a large amount. But once the last one is opened, it is also the end of death after the explosion, because there is the last culprit. This is interesting. The corners of Vegeta's mouth rose slightly. First it was a Super Earthman, now there is a Super Namek man, plus the future Super Saiyan. What kind of danger will appear on the Earth in the future? Everyone will be angry, and scared the villains to pee. Well, that's just thinking about it. In fact, no matter whether it is a Super Earthman or a Super Namek, it is still inferior to Super Saiyan in terms of potential. This is just to improve the overall level of the Earth Warrior. Vegeta briefly explained the matter and reminded Piccolo to pay attention to the last blockade. Of course, he did not say that it must not be opened. Anyway, there is a Dragon Ball in this world. It doesn't matter if you die after exploding, it mainly depends on whether the opponent is worth his exploding. I just sensed the breath of Piccolo. Have you also stimulated the state of potential? Klin returned with the fairy beans. Because Vegeta didn't say how much he wanted, he took all the inventory of Immortal Kalen, exactly. 3. Alright. In this timeline, Fairy Bean had been defeated by the fat man Yakilobi. In the original work, Son Goku returned from the practice of the Realm King, only to get 2 fairy beans, and finally had to go to the hospital after playing Vegeta. Regardless of Yamcha's explanation of Piccolo's situation for Klin, Vegeta got the fairy beans and threw one to Son Goku. Gohan, this one is for you. There are not many celestial beans, but this one is not bad. Just look back and let Kalen Immortal have more varieties. If you have any technical problems, it's a big deal to ask Shenron for help. Goku, are you ready? Vegeta turned to look at Son Goku. I'm already ready. What do I need to do? Son Goku couldn't help it for a long time, and started a warm-up exercise. You don't need to do anything, just. A wicked smile appeared at the corner of Vegeta's mouth, and then he held out a finger. Bu. A ki blast pierced Son Goku's chest directly, just a line from the heart. What are you doing? Goku. All the people present changed their colors. If it hadn't been for what Vegeta had done before that had convinced them, I was afraid that they would have to do it directly. But even so, if there is no reason to persuade them, they will never forgive Vegeta. Fortunately, they soon saw Vegeta send the fairy beans into Son Goku's mouth. But in a moment, Son Goku's injury recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. What the hell is this? However, before they could ask questions, there was a loud noise. After the others, Son Goku also burst into an extremely powerful aura. It completely surpassed everyone before. Compared to Piccolo, it is a lot more than that. Most importantly, the power of Son Goku is not the state of potential, but the actual hard power. Has it reached its limit? The combat power should be around 5,000. Vegeta carefully observes the situation of Son Goku, which is also very helpful for him to study his Saiyan physique. According to Vegeta in the original book, Saiyan will be greatly strengthened after he recovers from his injuries after a fierce battle. The stronger the opponent in the battle, the heavier the injury he suffered, and the greater the increase in strength after recovery. But for Vegeta, there are two more important points. One is that he has seen people whose strength is far beyond him, and the other is that he has a strong desire to become stronger. Just like the previous Vegeta, the opponent he encountered was not much stronger than him at the beginning, and his mentality was relatively stable, so every time he recovers from injury, his combat power only increases by tens of thousands. Until he met Keanu and Frieza, who was crushing him by strength, his mentality almost collapsed several times. The unwillingness and anger in the heart all exploded in an instant, and then the strength began to increase explosively, at least a few 100,000 at a time. Most importantly, in the face of Frieza's third form, where Frieza has more than 2 million combat power, he doesn't even have the ability to fight. In the end, he was seriously injured by Klin, and after his resurrection, he increased from several 100,000 to 2 million. It can be seen from this that the main thing is the vision plus the mentality, and it does not have to be played against a strong opponent. Son Goku was also severely injured by Keanu and was unable to intervene in the battle during the treatment period. He was worried about the safety of Son Gohan and Klin, and he sensed the strong breath erupting from Piccolo and Frieza one after another, and his fighting power began to increase explosively. But here, after he played with Raditz, Vegeta just appeared. Although he also wanted to become stronger in his mind, the situation was not urgent at the time, so he only increased his combat effectiveness from more than 400 to about 600. But after being surpassed by Gohan, Klin and Piccolo one after another, and knowing that people on Earth can stimulate the state of potential, Son Goku couldn't sit still. This resurrection from the dead directly increased his combat power to more than 5,000, shocking everyone except Vegeta. This. What kind of aura has Kakarot rise to? Raditz's face was full of amazement. He was the only one in the court who couldn't perceive the intensity of chi, but he knew very well that these people who had improved successively had the ability to sling him. Who on Earth said that the Earth is just a backward planet, and it is full of uncivilized and weak indigenous people? Raditz is a little autistic, and he feels that the future is dark. If you want to escape the control of the people on Earth, the hope is even slimmer. So scary. What the hell is going on? Why did Goku get so badly injured and so much strength after healed? After Klin and others were shocked, they looked strange again. Son Goku's current strength is not the same as theirs. This is not a temporary burst of potential state, but a real hard power that can be used for a long time. Yes, why is this? After Son Goku was overjoyed, he was also very strange. Baguette, you must know the reason, right? Ah. Vegeta replied and explained. Saiyan is a natural warrior. He fights against powerful opponents. He will fight stronger and stronger. And every time he is injured and resurrected, his strength will increase. Vegeta briefly explained the situation, and everyone understood. Just now it was Son Goku who admired the people on Earth, but now it is these people who admire Son Goku. However, everyone has their own chances, and Vegeta helped them dig out the 2 lines of Ren and Du, and now everyone is satisfied. At the request of everyone, Vegeta also helped Tien Shinhan, Dumplings, and Yamcha to connect the 2 lines of Ren Du. Although he really doesn't like Yamcha, everyone has helped. It is not too obvious to treat it differently. This is not Vegeta's style of behavior. As a result, The square outside the Tianshan temple broke out in a wave of energy far beyond the past, and soon they were fighting together again. In order to adapt to this state, but also in order to adapt to this sudden increase in strength. Raditz still couldn't escape, but this time, his strength was better than Dumpling's in the state of potential, and he couldn't match the rest of them. Fortunately, because of the strength being left behind, everyone no longer attacked him together, fighting against each other. Raditz finally survived. Vegeta took a look, ignored them, and went to the corner to sit down. Having studied the physiques of the Earthlings and Saiyan, next he will analyze his situation in detail. His body was originally a combination of Son Goku and Vegeta, so it can only be considered Saiyan in perfect condition. Later, both the soul and the body were in perfect control, and his own earthly human attributes became dominant instead. Therefore, whether it is Saiyan's transformation or the potential state of the Earthlings, he can use it. Of course, he also tried to find the 8-door Dunjia, but unfortunately that was indeed unique to the Namek people, and he did not have these 8 shackles in his body. Otherwise, when the time comes, the second line of Rendu and the 8 gates of Dunjia, plus the Super Game transformation, nothing else, the transformation of the Super 3 will be Super God. But there was one thing that surprised Vegeta. The power raised by drinking Super God water would automatically become stronger without him practicing. It seems that because of inertia, it has been in a state of actively absorbing those 3 mixed energies. Is this a reasonable excuse for me to be a salted fish? Vegeta suddenly couldn't laugh or cry. You can become stronger without practicing, and he really is God's own son. It can only be said that it is worthy of being a traveler, an absolute protagonist of heaven and earth. 2 days later, Bulma sent the newly completed detector. Surprisingly, she actually made contact lenses. You people are often fighting, making contact lenses, which are not easy to damage. Bulma murmured casually, but his eyes were looking around. After all, she was also the first time to come to the Temple of Heaven. But although the scenery in this place is good, it is a pity that the air is too thin to attract her. Awesome. Vegeta had to admire. As expected, Bulma is indeed a genius. I can think of such an idea. That is. Bulma was praised. Her eyes suddenly narrowed into moonbuds with a smile. It's just. How do you use this thing? Vegeta tried to take one and put it on. Blinking, there is no effect, as if it doesn't exist. This is voice activated. Bulma explained. As long as you call out the word detection, alone, you will be able to detect where your eyes are focused. And according to your requirements, there is no upper limit for the detected value. Explore. Vegeta yelled, then looked at Son Goku who was doing basic training not far away. DD. Combat power, 5,500. Yes, after the resurrection from the dead, Son Goku's combat effectiveness has indeed only increased to about 5,000. However, after 2 days of adaptation and training, the combat effectiveness has improved slightly and has stabilized to 5,005. Piccolo, combat power 602. Klin, combat power 385. Tien Shinhan, fighting power 412. Yamcha, 320 combat power. Dumplings, fighting power 238. This is their current strength. After breaking out of their potential state, because they have felt a stronger power and part of their potential has been retained, all of them have improved in just 2 days. The potential state of other people is basically around 8 to 10 times. Including Piccolo's third shackle, everyone can easily sling Raditz's 1500 after breaking out. However, the only exception is Dumplings. Perhaps the strength of his body is not enough, he can only increase his potential state by 5 times. Therefore, it is still not as good as Raditz. As for Son Gohan, he has been sent back to Baozishan. He said that he would go home first, soothe Chi-Chi, and wait for Chi-Chi to persuade him, and then come to practice with everyone. For this, Vegeta would naturally not care. Yes, great. Vegeta gave Bulma a thumbs up. Although it has not tested its upper limit, since Bulma said it is unlimited, it should be fine. Perhaps, by detecting his own strength, he can also detect it, and he is also quite curious about his current combat effectiveness. Bulma. What should you do if you want to detect yourself? Can't you ask others for help? Bulma rolled his eyes and said, You said I'm amazing. Why didn't I take this into consideration? You just need to close your eyes and call, detection. I see. Vegeta couldn't wait to do so, and the result, Kung Kung Kun Kun. What the hell? Vegeta was dumbfounded. Seeing his expression like this, Bulma couldn't help asking, What's the matter? Garbage. Vegeta was speechless. There are such types of garbled in this world. Impossible. Could it be that what went wrong? Bulma put on a set herself. She made a total of 10 sets, including Son Goku and others. Detection. Bulma exclaimed. It's amazing. Although Klin and the others are also very strong, Goku is actually 5,500, and it really deserves to be Goku. After speaking, she turned her head to look at Vegeta and said, probing. The result, Quanjinkiao, how could this be? Bulma frowned and whispered to herself. No, maybe the formula is wrong. But Goku and the others can clearly detect it. At this time, Son Goku and others discovered the movement here, and they all came together. After I understood the situation, I couldn't help but marvel at the convenience of this detector, and at the same time, I was curious about the mysterious combat effectiveness of Vegeta. Where is there any limit? It's really whimsical. After listening, Raditz snorted with disdain. I can't do it even on a planet with a very high degree of scientific civilization in the universe. Isn't it natural that problems will go wrong? In Raditz's view, Vegeta's combat effectiveness must have exceeded the upper limit of the detector. This Earthwoman just turned the explosive table into a garbled code, essentially a detector of his type, purely fooling people who don't understand.
What are you talking about? Suffering doubts in his own field, Bulma suddenly exploded and cursed. I don't even understand the formula, and only use the original data to input one by one. This can also be called a very high degree of scientific civilization. If in the universe at this level, that lady can be called the first scientist of the universe.
Raditz naturally sneered, but he didn't answer his lips, and he turned off the flames after being looked at by Vegeta. Perhaps I know the reason. Vegeta groaned, and whispered in Bulma's ear. It turned out to be the reason. Bulma's eyes lit up and said, then I know how to improve. But, Baguette, you are really good. You can do it like this. Goku, are they stupid? Vegeta couldn't help laughing. Bulma's mouth was really merciless. Bulma knew the reason for the emergence of Kunjinkao, and immediately had a new idea, so she took all the detectors back, and she wanted to go back and make a new version. Baguette. What did you tell Bulma just now? Why did she call me a stupid? Son Goku asked with a shy face. Regardless of his honesty on the surface, he is actually careful. This is obviously because I heard something in Bulma's words, and deliberately inquired. Vegeta smiled and said with a smile, you still don't want to know. For you now, knowing these is not good, it will only delay your practice. If you want to slow down your strength in the future, you will be far away from Piccolo. Then it's okay if I tell you. Never mind then. Son Goku was taken aback, and immediately waved away. But soon, he put on another fighting posture. Baguette, let's fight. Don't do it. Vegeta curled his lips, lay down on a recliner that Bulma had brought him before, turned over and acted like a salted fish. Just kidding. Who likes to fight with this fighting frenzy, and has no tendency to be abused? What are you doing? Everyone is working hard to cultivate, is it really good for you? Son Goku didn't understand Vegeta's behavior. He rolled his eyes and punched him without saying a word. As a result, what made him startled was that Vegeta didn't even get up, just lazily raised a finger, and easily pressed the fist. Isn't it? Son Goku's eyes were staring out of surprise. The place where Vegeta's finger was pressed was already red, and a fingerprint was printed. You're too exaggerated, right? I thought my strength had improved so much, even if it wasn't your opponent, it wouldn't be much worse. He was already quite sure that his current strength was not too far from the strength that Vegeta had shown when he subdued Raditz. Kakarot, are you funny? Raditz jumped out to be a Takao player again. Your strength is improving, and Vegeta's strength is also recovering. Is it because you improve quickly or he recovers quickly? This isn't it obvious and opinionated? He is almost at the bottom of his strength now, and he can only show off his sense of presence verbally. Otherwise, he was really afraid that everyone would gradually ignore him, and then he would be thrown in the corner for the rest of his life. Yes. Son Goku remembered that Vegeta was still recovering from his injury. Thinking of this, he was not surprised at Vegeta's behavior, but felt embarrassed for his sneak attack just now. Sorry, Vegeta, I forgot just now. Son Goku finished apologizing, and before Vegeta could speak, he did not repent and entangled. Otherwise you will hurt me again. I think it's almost reaching the limit now, and it's too slow to improve simply by practicing. Vegeta was quite speechless, and Son Goku was too troublesome when he was idle.
Forget it. Let's send him to Frontier, or else I can't calm down and cultivate. Shion practice, you.
God. Vegeta yelled in the direction of the temple, and the figure of the god appeared soon. Take him to the Realm King, there is more suitable for him. Vegeta pointed to Son Goku, who jumped up and down. The god was stunned for a moment. He had thought of this before, but it was finally dispelled by the appearance of Vegeta. Unexpectedly, Vegeta would mention the king of the world. How did he know? Who is the world king? Is it amazing? Son Goku's eyes lit up. Ah, super awesome. Vegeta casually said in a perfunctory sentence, as long as you come back from practicing there, your strength will increase several times at least. Really? Son Goku couldn't hold back anymore. Even his wife and children had forgotten, and he directly pulled Tenjin and said, Tenjin, you take me there. Okay. Before the gods had time to think, he was forced to drive the ducks onto the shelves. But he still warned carefully. You have to remember, don't talk nonsense when you get to the place, listen to my instructions for a while, and be polite. I see, I won't talk nonsense. Son Goku promised with a pat on his chest. As a result, the gods left with Son Goku, and the two of them disappeared into the temple suddenly, very similar to instant transmission. However, Vegeta can see that this is not instant transmission, but a shuttle between two different worlds. It seems that the gods first made a request to the underworld, and then shot them over there to pick them up. Vegeta remembered that feeling a little bit, and if he needed to go to the underworld in the future, he should be able to find his way on his own. But you don't need to take this matter to heart. Even if there is such a time, there is always a way to go. Feeling the situation in the body, the situation is very good. The strength of the newborn has grown several times. Even if you lie still, if this continues, it will not take a few years to absorb and digest all the three mixed energies. Unfortunately, Son Goku's strength is still too bad. If there is a fierce battle with a well-matched opponent, the absorption speed will be much faster. Vegeta sighed slightly. He had discovered before that fighting can increase the efficiency of energy absorption, but unfortunately there is no opponent here. So, he set his goal on Frieza 1 year later. As for starting now, take the initiative to find the door? I'm sorry. Excluding the 10 times compression energy that is temporarily unusable, he is not yet Frieza's opponent.
Therefore, he usually seems to lie here salted fish, but in fact he is using his thoughts to accelerate the absorption of energy, so that he can speed up a little bit, and by the way, it is also the accumulation of precipitation.
After a year, he will definitely fight Frieza and even surpass his strength. At that time, I will borrow the hands of Frieza to complete the complete transformation of energy. Son Goku was sent to the king of the realm, and Vegeta's days were suddenly much easier. Without the buzzing sound in my ears, I feel a lot more happy, and I even have a leisurely guide to Piccolo and others to practice. Piccolo and the others knew that Son Goku had gone to other places to practice, and his strength would at least increase several times when he returned. He became more hardworking in his practice, and his strength was steadily improving. What I have to say is that Raditz is also getting into this circle little by little and has begun to practice hard. Moreover, he also learned the perception and use of chi from Bobo, and his talents were stronger than all the people on Earth. Of course, the cause of this incident was a conversation between him and Vegeta. Now these people on Earth are stronger than me, and I can't destroy the Earth casually. Can you eliminate the energy in my body? Raditz found an opportunity and initiated a request to Vegeta. The energy was in his body, like an untimely bomb. Maybe one day when Vegeta was in a bad mood, he would let it explode.
Vegeta just smiled faintly when he heard the words, and replied, when to eliminate it depends on you. When you have a combat power of more than 100,000, you can easily resolve it yourself.
Women's mouth. Various MMPs in Raditz's mind. He figured it out, and Vegeta was just entertaining him. 100,000 combat power? Are you kidding me? In his heart, even if he worked hard for a lifetime, he wouldn't reach 100,000. But Vegeta doesn't matter what he thinks, it's not bad to keep Raditz alive. Within 2 days, Bulma came again and sent a new version of the ship's detector. This time it will definitely be possible, and there will never be any more unstable situation, Bulma said confidently. Vegeta smiled, and practice is the only measure of truth. But this time Bulma didn't disappoint him, and he really detected his strength. Combat power. 25,000 strength, 500,000, how is it? Surprised. Seeing the surprised expression on Vegeta's face, Bulma smiled triumphantly, and then put on the detector herself and probed Vegeta's strength. Puff. Bulma sprayed instantly, his eyes widened, and he didn't recover for a long time. 500,000. Her voice was very loud, attracting Piccolo, Klin and others who were practicing. Klin said strangely, Bulma, what 500,000? What surprised you so much? Bulma pointed at Vegeta, her fingers trembling a little. His combat strength is 500,000. What? How is it possible? This is too exaggerated, right? The intensity of combat power? Is it different from ordinary combat power? Everyone had different expressions, but without exception, they were all shocked. Piccolo's eyes flickered, but he still remembered that Vegeta's injury hadn't healed yet. In other words, 500,000 is not the peak combat power.
Vegeta smiled slightly and waved his hand. Okay, don't make a fuss. I'm just going further than you. You can reach this height in the future.
This is the real master style. Vegeta silently clicked 32 likes for his performance. Alright. In fact, he was amazed by the new version of the ship's detector. 500,000 is indeed the combat power he can exert now, that is, the energy that has been increased after drinking super divine water, which has been increased from 100,000 to 500,000. These days, in addition to analyzing and understanding the power of those rules, he is maintaining the compressed state of energy, which has now stabilized at a level of 20 times. After 500,000 compressed 20 times, 25,000 are left. In other words, the combat power shown above is actually the amount of chi, and strength is the real hard power. Just like the current Piccolo, the combat power is 625, and the strength is 625. This proves that Piccolo's gas is very ordinary and has not undergone any purification. Of course, with his current state, he really hasn't reached this point. But, why are your combat power and intensity different? We are all the same. Clint also used the new version of the detector to detect it, and then expressed doubts about Vegeta's strength. In fact, only Bulma knew why, otherwise she would not be able to make a new detector. But Vegeta told her not to speak out, so she didn't talk too much. Of course, Vegeta wouldn't say it, but just said, "You are not in the realm yet. Now you just need to work hard to improve your strength. You don't need to think about anything else, and you will gradually understand it later." Okay. Hearing this, Clint could only shrug his shoulders. They were all shocked by Vegeta's strength and began to practice frantically one by one. Now that they know that someone can reach this point, they believe that they will be able to cultivate one day. These warriors are the top-notch on Earth, none of them are fuel-efficient lamps. "Bulma, I have to trouble you to make one more thing next." When they left, Vegeta said to Bulma again. Bulma wrinkled her nose. "What, you really can call people? Come on, what are you going to do this time?" "Gravity device." Baguette said. "A device that can change the gravity around you. I believe it is not a problem for you." "Hey." Bulma chuckled lightly. Of course she is happy to be recognized in her field. However, she did not directly agree, but said, "Never mind the previous detectors. With the gravity device, unless you promise to owe me a favor, I will help you. A fighter of 500,000 combat power, this is 100 times stronger than Son Goku, and he is handsome, how can he easily let it go?" Vegeta didn't know Bulma's careful thoughts, but thought that this woman was really shrewd. After thinking for a while, he nodded in agreement. It is not his style to always get and not pay. Since it troubles others, he must always pay. Moreover, Bulma is just an ordinary person. Even if he asks for any favors, he won't propose things that make Vegeta difficult to do. The rest of the day was calm. Everyone was busy cultivating, and nothing strange happened.
In the meantime, Son Gohan finally came, listening to what he meant, persuading Chi-Chi to spend a lot of thought.
Vegeta didn't interfere with Son Gohan's practice. He had already figured out Son Gohan's physical condition, so naturally he was no longer curious. Vegeta usually lays on the recliner very salty, but actually puts his mind on the power of the rules in his body, while using the mind to accelerate energy digestion, while comprehending those rules. Apart from cultivating, he would also walk to the lower realm alone and wander around. After all, he is a traverser, and he is very curious about the Dragon Ball world. And he can't keep working hard, he's not a cultivator. The current practice is purely for the purpose of being able to live better in the future. When his strength reaches a certain height, he will definitely enjoy life. 2 months later, Bulma sent the gravity device, which was completed with the help of her father, Dr. Breath. An external device has an effective range of 100 meters and can cover the entire celestial realm. This is for Piccolo, Klin, and Tien Shinhan. There is also a portable bracelet that you can carry around, which Vegeta wants. In this way, he can take it on his body and practice gravity anytime and anywhere, just like a load-bearing clothing on his body. However, the gravity device is different from the load-bearing clothing after all. This change in gravity, together with the internal organs, flesh and blood, and bones, must be tolerated, unlike the load-bearing clothing that can only add weight to the body. Time passed by, and soon a year passed. On this day, the Earth Warrior, who was still practicing unremittingly, suddenly heard a voice in his heart. "Hi. I haven't seen you in 1 year, how are you doing?" Although this voice sounded from the bottom of my heart, everyone heard it, including Vegeta. "Goku? Is it Goku? Goku is back? Where is it?" Everyone turned their heads and looked around, not seeing Son Goku at all.
Vegeta raised his brow slightly. Of course he knew that Son Goku was not here. Since the voice came, it was obviously through King Kai's ability.
In this, he faintly caught the fluctuation of the power of rules. If he wants to, he can transmit the voice in the reverse direction, without using the Realm King's ability to receive it. Moreover, he can directly use the power of rules to instant transmission to King Kai Star. That's right, during this year, Vegeta's perception of the power of rules has risen to a high level, and he has even been able to use the power of rules to perform instant transmission, similar to that of Supreme Kai. You don't need to look for it anymore. I'm still in the World King Star, and now I am talking to everyone through the power of the World King. Son Goku's voice sounded in the hearts of everyone again. Huh. Can you still do this? Lord Jia Wang is really amazing, Klin exclaimed. When the others heard this, they stopped looking for Son Goku. Master Realm King is indeed very good. He taught me very good tricks. When I go back, I will definitely surprise you. And Vegeta, maybe I'm better than you, hee. Son Goku is very good. It is proud. He didn't know about the fact that Vegeta had detected 500,000 combat power, and it was a year ago. Over the past year, Vegeta's breath has been converging, unable to detect specific strength, but it is clear that he has been improving. Klin and the others held back their smiles without exposing them. They were both suffocating each other, and they waited to see Son Goku challenge Vegeta when he came back, and smashed into a big somersault. Don't talk nonsense. The savvy Piccolo let out a soft snort, and said proudly, Son Goku, you are talking to us at this time, shouldn't you be idle and bored? Is it Saiyan coming? When the others heard this, their faces changed one after another, and they were a little nervous for a while. According to Raditz, the strength of these Earth warriors has indeed improved a lot, but if you don't count the potential status, they are still not opponents of his two companions.
However, the potential state is, after all, a blasting skill, the kind that is empty after bursting, can only be used as a whole card.
The combat power on the bright side can't be compared, it must be nervous. Piccolo. I can't hide it from you. Son Goku exclaimed and said, yes, Lord Realm has already sensed it. Saiyan will arrive on Earth tomorrow, so I remind you to be prepared first. Tomorrow. Everyone clenched their fists one after another, and there was a strong gleam in their eyes. In addition to being nervous, they also want to show the results of this year's practice. At this time Vegeta interjected and asked, Goku, how long did it take you to go? Haha, it didn't take long, it was only 3 months. Ha. Son Goku was stunned, and then yelled, it's broken, I forgot to count the time to go back, now I go back. I don't know if it's too late, you must wait for me. Idiot. Klin and others helplessly stroked their heads. The corner of Vegeta's mouth rose slightly, and he knew that Son Goku was habitually lazy. You know, in the original work, after Piccolo and others died, it only took more than 30 days to reach the Realm King. Among a few people, the fighting power of dumplings is only 610. When Son Goku ran Snake Road, although he only had 416 combat effectiveness, he also wore a load suit, but how could he not run too many in the first half of the year? And here is even more amazing, with 5,500 combat power, and in the end, it has been running for 3 months, a master in the lazy world. Knowing that Saiyan is coming tomorrow, Klin and the others did not conduct high-intensity training anymore, but began to adjust their breath to restore themselves to their peak state.
Raditz, although it is not very good to say that, since the two Saiyans are your former companions, you should know them well. Piccolo found Raditz and asked about the two Saiyans.
Cut. Who do you think I am? Am I the kind of person who will betray my companions? Raditz's face was full of disdain. Although he has slowly adapted to life on the Earth now, and feels that his current life is much stronger than before, and it is precarious, but in his heart he still regards himself as Saiyan, and does not think that he is in the same group as the people on Earth. Should you decide for yourself? Anyway, with our current strength, even if the combat power is weaker than them, everyone will burst into a state of potential together. I believe they will not be opponents, right? The corner of Piccolo's mouth rose slightly and said, I just want to learn more. Maybe I can find a slightly more peaceful solution. Otherwise, if Vegeta wants you to join me, how do you choose? The energy in Raditz's body has not been eliminated yet, and his life is still in the hands of Vegeta. Klin was surprised. Piccolo, I didn't expect you to join forces against the enemy? Still want a peaceful settlement? Sure enough, Goku is right. After rebirth, Piccolo is completely different from the previous devil. Stop talking nonsense. Piccolo instantly exploded and roared, this is only temporary. When the two Saiyans are resolved, I will still be the devil who wants to conquer the world, and I will destroy you by then. It's a pity that Klin is not at all shocked, even Tien Shinhan, Yamcha and others are smiling. Because Vegeta asked Bulma to make a gravity device, they hadn't left this year and had been cultivating in the heavens. Of course, Piccolo was also together. I spent a year together day and night, who doesn't know who? Son Gohan, who has already honed his character a lot, also murmured, Uncle Piccolo is really not honest. Who is not there? Although Son Gohan's voice was low, everyone heard it clearly, and all of a sudden burst into laughter. HMPH, you guys can smile now, and when Vegeta and the others come, you won't be able to laugh when you want to laugh.
Raditz curled his lips and was very upset with the joyous atmosphere on the scene. Since you want to know their details, I'll just reveal a little bit. If Vegeta doesn't make a move, you alone will not be Vegeta's opponents, even in a state of explosive potential.
The two Saiyans who came were called Vegeta and Nappa, Raditz had said before, so they all knew who Raditz was talking about. But they didn't expect that Vegeta, whose name was very similar to Vegeta, had such a strong ability. Isn't even the potential state really an opponent? Klin's expression became serious. You must know that his potential state has been able to steadily erupt, and under the unscrupulous full fight, he can hold 10 times the fighting power for 10 minutes. Just like that, still not that Saiyan's opponent? When other people heard Raditz's words, their hearts were heavy, as expected. Do they still have to rely on the power of Son Goku or Vegeta? It's just that they didn't know. Without noticing, a trace of triumph and joking flashed in Raditz's eyes, and only Vegeta not far away saw it. If you count the transformation of the Great Ape, Vegeta is indeed better than all of them combined. Vegeta also felt funny in his heart. Klin and others are indeed much better than the original, but obviously it is impossible to reach the height of Vegeta within a year. They can burst into a state of potential, and Vegeta can also transform into a Great Ape. Although Vegeta's Great Ape has weaknesses, its combat power can be maintained for a long time, not as short as its potential state. Of course, the state of potential will explode, but the Great Ape needs to make a moon first. In this respect, the state of potential is even better. Regarding the mood of Klin and others at this time, Vegeta just took the attitude of watching the excitement and did not expose Raditz. He didn't want to intervene in the battle tomorrow. Even if someone died because of it, he could be resurrected through Dragon Ball. After all, part of his body comes from Vegeta. Even if he wants to pay back the favor, he doesn't want to do anything with Vegeta. At that time, he will be a happy crowd eating melons, and treat the battle as a good vegetable farm on the scene. With different moods, everyone soon ushered in Saiyan's arrival. At 6 o'clock the next morning, the morning light just appeared, and 2 round spheres fell into the city of the eastern capital, causing a small amount of panic. Before Piccolo and the others rushed over, the 2 Saiyans who were sensed by their breath, one of them suddenly shot and razed the city to the ground. Damn! What are they doing? Sensing that a large amount of chi disappeared in an instant, Klin and the others gritted their teeth, burst out with all their strength, and flew to the positions of Vegeta and Nappa at the fastest speed. Vegeta just hung slowly behind. Well, sitting in the plane Bulma was driving. Why are you not in a hurry? Didn't you say that you also grew up on the Earth? Bulma really couldn't understand Vegeta's thoughts. It seems that since realizing that now, he has always been a careless look. Ha ha ha. Isn't my greeting not enthusiastic enough? Nappa, a bald head who ruined a city, floated in the air and laughed. Vegeta next to her folded her arms and said with an unhappy expression, "It's almost all right, Nappa. If this planet is damaged too badly, it won't be able to sell for a high price." That's right. Nappa said with enthusiasm. Vegeta, what are we doing now? Shall we go to that Vegeta first? Yes. Find the guy with the strongest combat power first. It should be him. Vegeta pressed the probe. Beep beep. Vegeta, something is wrong. Nappa also pressed the detector, and was obviously nervous after seeing the situation. On this planet, there are more than 1 or 2 people with a combat power of more than 1,000, and they seem to have discovered us and are rushing over.
Why? Vegeta has a combat power of 18,000 after all, and said calmly, "It's just a few trash fish, with a combat power of 2 to 3,000. Could it still threaten us? Okay. You just emptied the field and we are here. Wait, it should be Vegeta and Kakarot."
That's right. Nappa followed Vegeta down from the air, and then jumped on the ground a few times, laughing. Haha, the gravity on the Earth is so small, it's really easy to move. Vegeta, let's say it. If you see Vegeta later, don't snatch me. If you shoot, there will be no suspense, then it will be boring. Vegeta gave a wicked smile. Whatever you do, don't kill you anyway, you need their power to attack the next planet. If Rats is still alive, plus Kakarot and Vegeta, the 5 of us will be able to easily kill the planet. Come down. I'm a little excited to say that the planet to be attacked this time can be sold for a very high price, even if it is divided by 2 people, it is much more than before. Nappa laughed. The corner of Vegeta's mouth grinned. Senior brings a newcomer, and it's fine if you don't charge tuition. The newcomer still wants to divide the money? The 2 looked at each other and laughed at the same time. Come. Suddenly, Vegeta raised his brows and looked towards the horizon. Sure enough, There were several figures flying from the sky at high speed, among them the familiar Raditz.
That waste of Raditz, isn't it here to deal with us? Nappa couldn't believe it. Vegeta put his arms around his chest and snorted coldly. He is not so stupid. He knows the gap between us, and he voluntarily ran to die. But according to him, living on the earth has been very nourishing this year. I will find opportunities later. Give him a lesson. Just what I want. Nappa smirked with her fists.
Ha ha. At this time, the warriors of the earth fell in front of Vegeta one after another, including Raditz, a total of 7 people. Vegeta, Nappa. Raditz looked at the opposite person, his eyes flashed, but he didn't speak. But Piccolo has a faint leadership style. He stood in the front, clenched his fists, staring at the two Vegeta and said, "Just to be cautious, let me ask first. Why are you here?" This voice. "You and Kakarot almost killed Raditz, right?" Vegeta didn't answer Piccolo's words. Instead, he asked, "I'm curious, why didn't you kill Raditz later? You didn't want to die together at the beginning? Did he die?" "Sure enough. You know exactly what happened back then, through that detector, right?" Piccolo looked at Vegeta and Nappa's detectors. The invisible detector made by Bulma can also communicate, but due to technical limitations, the signal transmission is limited to the Earth. Piccolo looked back at Raditz and saw that the latter didn't mean to speak. He replied by himself, "It's no longer necessary, and the same is true for you. If it's just a guest, we can welcome it." "Guest? Ha ha ha, Vegeta, isn't this guy from Namek? It's as naive as the rumors." Nappa laughed. Vegeta also smiled wickedly. It is possible that the combat power is 3,500, which is indeed the height that the Namek people can reach. Nappa laughed and said, "To tell you the truth, we are here to destroy the people on Earth, and take away Saiyan who is living outside. So, you should just wait to die. Although you are from Namek, it is a pity that there is only one. Not our opponent." Namek. Piccolo was taken aback. He had long suspected that he was not a human being on Earth, because he did not have the second line of supervision. Vegeta seemed to know, but did not explain. Klin was surprised. "Piccolo, it turns out that you are also from Universe, no wonder. The Namek people not only have extraordinary combat effectiveness, but also seem to have some incredible abilities, such as magic." Vegeta proudly displayed his knowledge reserve. But unfortunately, their most fatal flaw is their naivety, and they like to hang peace. So you are often bullied by evil forces in the universe. That's it. Piccolo gestured behind him, and then put on a fighting posture. "Thank you for telling me who my ancestors are. However, now that my territory is on the Earth, you are not allowed to destroy it. As for whether it is an opponent, I have to fight before I know it." As Piccolo's voice fell, Klin, Tien Shinhan and others, including Son Gohan, all assumed a fighting posture. Only Raditz was in an embarrassing situation, so he quietly stepped away, intending to watch from the sidelines. On a hill near the battlefield, Bulma had already parked the plane and put it into the capsule. She and Vegeta watched the battle from a distance, but the latter relied solely on the perception of eyesight and spirit, while Bulma could only use a telescope. "Are you really not going to make a move? If it were you, you would be able to defeat them easily, right?" Bulma wanted to use the detector, but the distance was too far, so she didn't know the specific strength of the two Vegeta. "Don't worry, Piccolo and the others can handle it. Don't forget, they have worked hard for a year under gravity." Vegeta looked relaxed. Although Vegeta and the others arrived a few hours earlier than the original, but with Son Goku's strength far surpassing the original, they will definitely be able to arrive early. In addition, Piccolo is several times stronger than the original, and there are new types of detectors. They know the basics of Vegeta, so there is no need to worry. Now this battle can only be regarded as a family for Vegeta, and it is just a witness to the original plot. He is even more looking forward to the chain effect triggered after this battle, and the big boss Frieza behind. "Okay." Bulma said helplessly, "Since you have said so, I can only cheer them on. I hope there will be no accidents." Vegeta smiled slightly and said nothing. What surprised him is that Bulma and Yamcha are not boyfriends and girlfriends, and Bulma is still single. Every time I meet, Bulma obviously prefers to be close to Vegeta, while Yamcha turns a blind eye. Isn't this the main world of Dragon Ball? Although Vegeta was strange, he didn't think deeply. It didn't matter to him anyway. At this time, the following battle has already begun. Vegeta and the others used the detector to detect that Piccolo and others are not weak, so they did not come up with such a thing as the Vegetable Man like the original book. Nappa directly stepped forward and challenged everyone. "First remind you that when I take action, the battle will end in an instant. You won't feel painful, please be happy, hum." Nappa clenched his fist triumphantly, then burst into anger. Boom. A powerful breath erupted from Nappa, and even the earth began to tremble. Facing this level of anger, although Klin and others were cautious, they were not surprised at all. Because as early as the beginning, they had already detected the combat power of Nappa and Vegeta through invisible detectors, and the two Saiyans would not hide their breath at all.
7,000. This is Nappa's combat power value, and its strength is also 7,000.
At least in the impression of Klin and others, except for Vegeta, everyone else's combat effectiveness and intensity are the same. Tremble, humble earthlings, come and feel the powerful power of Master Nappa. Nappa thought that all the Earth warriors were trembling with fright and couldn't even speak. He slapped his fist forward, and suddenly a strong wind blew up. Does any of you want to go? Piccolo put his hands on his chest, seemingly uninterested in Nappa. It is a pity that the faces of the group of people behind have cold sweat on their faces. Klin smiled bitterly. To be honest, unless everyone goes together, otherwise you can only explode the state of potential. A year ago, they were just a group of people with a combat power of 1 or 200. Even if their combat power exploded in a year, it would be good to be able to rise to several thousand heights, and they were all dozens of times higher. But compared to Nappa, it's still a bit worse after all. In addition to Piccolo, the strongest Tien Shinhan and Klin, one is 5,800 and the other is 5,600. Although the combat effectiveness is insufficient, skills and experience can be used to make up for it. But don't forget, Saiyan is a natural fighter, and I won't say that the stronger the Vietnam War, Nappa is also in the field all year round. In terms of fighting skills and experience, only Piccolo Lin and the others are stronger. Hey! Piccolo murmured, stretched out his hand to lift off his cloak, and hummed softly. As a result, he couldn't deal with such a small character. Why are you here?
Don't say that, Piccolo. Klin said with embarrassment. The Saiyan at the back has a very high combat effectiveness. You will definitely have to join hands at that time, so I will work hard for you first and let everyone retain their strength.
During the year of getting along, maybe because of inertia, Piccolo and son Gohan have a very good relationship, just like a father and son. In addition, Klin is more active and often talks to Piccolo, so he is relatively familiar with Piccolo, while others are still half-baked to Piccolo. Uncle Piccolo, you have to be careful. Son Gohan had a nervous expression on his face. His normal combat effectiveness is only 1,500, which is slightly higher than the original. After all, he is too young to be physically and mentally mature. However, everyone did not underestimate him, because Son Gohan's potential is the most amazing.
After the explosive potential state, it has been increased by a full 20 times, reaching an astonishing 30,000.
It's a pity that he has just started to practice for less than a year. After his full burst, his strength is always poorly controlled, so everyone didn't have much hope for him. What? Do you want to fight me alone? Nappa grinned when Piccolo stepped forward. However, he was unambiguous in his actions. Before Piccolo responded, he rushed over with a roar and smashed his punch. You rushed straight ahead. How despised is it? Piccolo sneered, gathering strength in his fist, and greeted him with a punch. With your mere 3,500 combat power, you want to fight against each other? It's naive. Nappa laughed disdainfully. But at this time, the Vegeta at the back discovered that something was wrong. Because those Earthlings are too calm, not good. Vegeta suddenly remembered something, and immediately shouted, Nappa, be careful. These people will control the combat power, don't be confused by the number of the detector. What? Nappa's reaction was half a beat slow, but it turned out to be too late. Boom. When the two fists touched each other, the blue veins on Nappa's arm were raised and twisted into a ball instantly, and then he let out a scream in his mouth, and his body burst out.
Piccolo obviously didn't have too strong aura, even the number detected by the detector remained at 3,500.
But that's it, it's Nappa who suffers. Nappa flew out for several kilometers, and smashed to the ground. His breath was already weakened to the extreme, and his whole body was half dead. Even his arm was distorted so badly that it might be useless. Idiot. Raditz, who was not far away, frowned and cursed inwardly. Although he knew it was impossible, he still had a little hope for the two companions. Maybe Vegeta could help him get rid of Vegeta's control. But now, just looking at Nappa's performance, he has given up this idea. It's amazing. Klin and others were dumbfounded. Yamcha swallowed. Fortunately, he is with us now. If we were the same big devil back then, we would be miserable.
Tien Shinhan thought. Piccolo's strength is obviously much stronger than Nappa. I don't know how much combat power he has now. I'm afraid it's over 10,000, right? Although everyone practiced together every day, the first thing Bobo and the gods taught them was to control the chi, so everyone's aura converged very well.
If you don't go all out to fight, no one knows each other's details. Over there, Vegeta looked dumbfounded. What kind of plot development is this ghost animal? It's completely different from the script. In the end, he can only attribute everything to Nappa, trash. Before both Kakarot and Vegeta met, he fell down first. What is this? Save. B. Vegeta. Nappa reached out to Vegeta. Snapped. Vegeta took Nappa's extended hand. Yes. I'm sorry. Vegeta. Don't say that. Vegeta gave a smirk, and suddenly took Nappa's hand and threw him into the air. Wow. What are you going to do? Vegeta, Nappa yelled in surprise. At this time, he yelled very sharply, full of anger, and didn't look like a seriously injured person at all. You no longer have the value of existence, go to hell. Vegeta burst into a powerful energy, turned into a shockwave, and hit Nappa directly in the air. What? So strong. It's cruel. It's not letting go with my companion. Piccolo, Klin and others were taken aback. Boom. The shockwave erupted with blazing light, and there was also Nappa's hysterical roar. However, Vegeta frowned, and Piccolo, Klin and others were also a little surprised. Hey, isn't that person him? Klin said with some uncertainty. Why would he save people? And, isn't he incapable of saying anything? Ask him yourself. How do I know what he thinks? Piccolo chuckled, feeling very upset. After all, he wounded Nappa. As a result, the opponent's companion went to kill him, but the people on his side went to save him. What a thing. At this time, a slightly depressed voice suddenly sounded in the sky. Oh, it's still not better than you. I even used Kaioken, but it turned out to be a little slower than you. Goku. Klin and others raised their heads in surprise. There are 3 figures in the sky. One of them is wearing an orange robes, with the sign of a realm king painted on the back. Who is it if it's not Son Goku? And the other 2 figures, one is naturally dying Nappa, the other is Vegeta. At this time, Vegeta put one hand on Nappa's back, floating in the air. It was he who saved Nappa, and it was him that Piccolo and Klin said just now. But I didn't expect that Son Goku actually appeared at this time. Hearing what he meant, it seemed that he was also planning to save people, but Vegeta was one step ahead. Vegeta took a look at Son Goku up and down, but the detector could not detect the specific strength. There were only 12,000 on the bright side, but from the breath that broke out just now, Vegeta judged that he should have a combat power of about 50,000. What silly thing to say. Vegeta curled his lips and said, if I don't show up, you will use Kaioken. You can't keep up without Kaioken. Okay. You obviously want to grab someone from me, so embarrassed. Say me. Son Goku obviously didn't intend to save people, but when he saw Vegeta appear, his hands were itchy and he wanted to try it.
Sure enough, you know Kaioken. Son Goku scratched his head and smiled. He is an enemy after all. I am also hesitant to save it, so my reaction is a little slower. But then again, why do you want to save Vegeta? You are not such an enthusiastic person. The 2 of them had fallen from the air as they were talking. Vegeta threw Nappa to the ground with a wave of his hand, groaning in pain. Vegeta. Kakarot. Vegeta gritted his teeth at the 2. The speed that the 2 of them showed just now scared him and broke his glass heart. Didn't I save you? You said that to me. Excessive. Vegeta rolled his eyes. Son Goku laughed awkwardly, scratching his head and said, well, I was wrong. I just think you don't seem to care much about many things. Vegeta said in a faint voice. There are few Saiyans left. It doesn't matter if you die outside. If you die in your own hands, I won't be able to see.
That's it. Son Goku didn't quite understand, he just felt that the reason seemed very high. In fact, however, Vegeta was only on a whim, or a temporary evil taste. He would like to know, if Nappa can survive, what kind of image will it look like in the future as Super Saiyan? Golden eyebrows, golden beard, green eyes? The head is like a big golden light bulb? And what will happen to the Super 3? Suddenly growing hair? Or does the beard grow longer and thicker, turning into bunches?
Just think about it. Vegeta is more like Saiyan's prince than you, ha ha ha. Nappa, who escaped by chance, laughed loudly. He really believed Vegeta's reason for nonsense.
Cut. Troublesome guy. Vegeta sneered. They'll die anyway, so no matter what you say, I don't care. All he cares about is his self-esteem. Killed his companion, but was stopped by the enemy? Does he, Prince Saiyan, do not want face? Vegeta now needs a battle to vent his anger. Goku, your chance to show is here. If you die, I will collect Dragon Balls to resurrect you. Seeing this, Vegeta slipped away and took Nappa away by the way. You underestimated me. Son Goku clenched his fists and smiled, although the opponent is really not easy, but I am now different from before. How could I die? However, Vegeta frowned, Dragon Ball? You don't know yet. Son Goku didn't think much about it, and smiled triumphantly. There is something called Dragon Ball on Earth. You can summon Shenron as long as you collect 7 of them. Shenron can realize any wish, including resurrection. There is such a thing. Vegeta glanced at Piccolo at the back. I heard that the Namek people have all kinds of magical abilities. You should do this Dragon Ball, right? Hey, that's it. After listening to their conversation, Vegeta threw Nappa next to Raditz, and left with confidence. Because he just remembered that Vegeta didn't know about Dragon Ball, they came to Earth purely because Raditz was defeated. Vegeta saves Nappa only incidentally, mainly because of a reasonable appearance. By the way, Dragon Ball will let Frieza on the other side of the communicator know the news, so that the latter will go to Namek. Although Son Goku and others knew that the probe could communicate, they were limited by knowledge-blind spots and never thought that Vegeta had other accomplices, or that there were other big bosses behind them. Even if he later learned that Frieza learned about Dragon Ball through a detector, he thought that Vegeta was as unaware of them as they did. It's really embarrassing, Nappa. Raditz looked at Nappa, who was half alive at his feet, with a teasing expression on his face. Are you qualified to say such things, Raditz? Nappa said with a fierce face. This incident is all because of you. I haven't asked you to settle the account. HMPH, when I recover from my injury, I must learn a lesson. You. Hey, aren't you afraid that I will kill you now? Raditz folded his arms and looked at him condescendingly. After a year of hard training, his strength has also improved. Although he is not an opponent of Nappa for the time being, he already has the capital for equal dialogue, and he no longer needs to be conscientious as before. Do you dare? Although Nappa has thick lines, he is not a fool. With your arrogant character, today is surprisingly quiet. It must be controlled by Vegeta. He just saved me. Do you dare to kill me? To be honest, Raditz really dare not. Vegeta threw Nappa to him. The meaning was already obvious, just let him watch, don't let Nappa die. But if you lose, Raditz sneered. You should remember. A year ago, it was the Namek guy who joined forces with Kakarot, and finally bet on his life, and almost died with me, only to be stopped by Vegeta. What do you want to say? Nappa frowned. Raditz proudly said. Have you not figured it out yet? You can't even stand a punch from Piccolo. And me? But better than the two of them. You want to teach me too? It's 100 years earlier. Nappa's pupils shrank instantly. Could it be that within this year, Raditz's strength exploded? Yes. When Raditz first came to Earth, the highest combat power among the people on Earth was Kakarot's 400. Now there are 2,000 or 3,000 each, and he can still destroy his 3,500 in one punch. What about Raditz? How much has been improved? What secret is hidden on this Earth? Nappa was silent. He felt that he should be honest with him in his current situation. Perhaps with the opportunity of Vegeta saving his life, it was a serious matter to hug his thigh tightly. Not to mention how Nappa and Raditz are. Son Goku and Vegeta have formally started fighting over there after a simple conversation. Because of the appearance of Son Goku, the pressure on Klin and the others was greatly reduced, and they all chose to watch the game with ease. Piccolo also wanted to see Son Goku's growth over the past year, so he didn't intervene. In the ruins of the eastern capital, the two figures fought at a very fast speed, and the muffled sound became one piece. The figures flickered from time to time, and they would appear in another place in the next moment. So strong. Can't keep up with their speed at all. Goku is indeed a lot more powerful. The current combat power is only about 15,000, and it can even beat that Vegeta. Klin and others watched Son Goku fighting fiercely from a distance, and they couldn't help but exclaimed. They are indeed far inferior to this kind of strength, and even their breath perception is reduced to the lowest level. Son Gohan, the weakest, can no longer sense it at all. Huh. This level. Piccolo clenched his fists slightly. His combat effectiveness is only in his early 10,000 years, which is incomparable to those of the two. Most importantly, he could see that Son Goku hadn't done his best yet. This is also the style of Son Goku. No matter who you play with, you will never use your full strength at the beginning. Soon, the two people in the fierce battle separated instantly. Vegeta sneered. Ha, Kakarot, I admit that you are really strong, much better than Raditz's crap. But with your strength, you can't be my opponent. He said so, but in fact he was very heavy in his heart, and even panicked a lot. Kakarot is so difficult. If you add those people on Earth, especially the Namek people, together, it won't be so easy for him to win. The most important thing is that Vegeta didn't make a shot. Sure enough, he still had to find a chance to transform into a great ape. Vegeta secretly planned. Son Goku didn't think so much. He hadn't experienced such a hardy battle for a long time, and the blood in his body had already boiled. Hey. Son Goku touched his nose and said, "You haven't beaten me yet. It's a bit early to say this now. Is that really the case? A weird smile appeared on Vegeta's face. Not good. Seeing a white light condensed in Vegeta's hands in the distance, Raditz couldn't help but yelled, "Hurry up and stop him, Kakarot." What? Son Goku didn't react, because he didn't feel threatened by the white light in Vegeta's hands. Idiot. That's an artificial moon, he's going to transform into a giant ape. Raditz knows Vegeta quite well, and can guess it with just one action. Unfortunately, his reminder was still too late. In the horrified gaze of Son Goku and a group of Earth warriors, Vegeta fluttered to the sky with the white ball of light in his hand. Ahahaha. I really like your panicked expressions. Vegeta laughed proudly. Although I hate being that ugly, I still want to become a great ape in order to save my strength. Hey! Let you see the super destructive power of me becoming a great ape. It's a pity, Kakarot, you blame yourself for being stupid and getting your tail off. Otherwise you can use that power to fight me, although the result is still the same. Only he, Saiyan's Prince Vegeta, the super genius among Saiyan, can remain sober after becoming a great ape, and control that power perfectly. Even if other people turned into giant apes, their destructive power increased, and it was useless if their minds were not sober. Roar. The expression on Vegeta's face suddenly turned hideous, 2 sharp fangs appeared at the corners of her mouth, her appearance gradually changed, and her body quickly became huge. This is a big deal. Raditz mentioned Nappa almost immediately and ran away. His strength is not as good as Nappa. How can he fight the great ape Vegeta? It's still important to save your life. The battle should be handed over to Kakarot. Anyway, Vegeta is still in the line. It's really bad, it's terrifying. There was cold sweat on Piccolo's face, and even if he burst into a state of potential, he was far from the opponent of the great ape Vegeta. At this time he finally understood what Raditz said. All of them together are not Vegeta's opponents. What does this mean? Let's go together. I'm afraid Goku can't stand it anymore. Klin's face was also full of cold sweat, but he still mustered up the courage, burst into a state of potential with a boom, and rushed directly to the giant ape Vegeta. Boom 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 boom. Aura burst out one after another. Piccolo, Tien Shinhan, Dumpling, Yamcha were not ambiguous, they also broke out the potential state, and joined the battle together. The great ape Vegeta's strength is too terrifying, and it puts a lot of pressure on them, and they can't fight together. Only Son Gohan was half a beat slower. His potential state was not yet proficient. After the explosion, he only had one blow, and even at this level, it was far inferior to the great ape Vegeta. In the end, he gritted his teeth and rushed over as usual. Okay. Awesome. Son Goku was already shocked by the breath of the great ape Vegeta. Vegeta has a normal combat power of 18,000. The creation of an artificial moon consumes a lot of energy, and the combat power has dropped slightly, leaving about 16,000. But the great ape's change has increased tenfold, reaching a terrifying 160,000. Son Goku is no longer an opponent at all. However, when he sensed the breath of Piccolo and others who were bursting into a state of potential behind him, Son Goku was full of amazement. They have actually reached this point. Come on. Son Goku reduced his mind, and became full of energy again. Although he still has Kaioken, he has only practiced on the World King Star with 10 times the gravity. With the current physical strength, he can only adapt to twice. It was almost the level of Piccolo in the state of potential, and it was far from the great ape Vegeta. This is a huge challenge for him. But it was precisely this that made his blood boil even more. Ha 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 ha. A bunch of chopsticks, even if you join hands, what can you do? The great ape Vegeta looked at the Earth Warrior rushing up with a disdainful face, and slapped it directly. Boom. The strong wind swept in all directions, and all the Earth soldiers dodged one after another. A young figure was too late to react, and was directly slapped by the giant ape and shot out in an instant. Dumplings. Tien Shinhan shouted. The strength of Dumplings has been increased to 1,800, slightly higher than Son Gohan, but the potential state is only 6 times, and the total is only over 10,000. Even the great ape Vegeta can't stand a single face. Damn it. Tien Shinhan didn't have the time to check the situation of the Dumplings, and broke out with all his strength, launching a fierce attack from the side. Piccolo is the strongest. After opening the 3 chains, his strength soared to 90,000. Although it is still far inferior to the great ape Vegeta, it is the best in the field, so he directly restrains it from the front. Tien Shinhan with 58,000 fighting power, Klin with 56,000 fighting power, and Yamcha with 50,000 fighting power. The 3 took advantage of Piccolo's containment of the great ape Vegeta one after another, punching and kicking. However, what shocked them was that they had almost exploded with all their strength, but they did not even shake a single hair of the great ape Vegeta. The great ape Vegeta did not evade, let their attacks fall on him, then grinned, and suddenly his tail swept past, and all the Earth warriors, including Piccolo, all flew out. Son Gohan, who was one step behind, happened to encounter such a scene, and in an instant, he was alone in the venue. Okay. It's scary. Son Gohan was almost scared, shivering and taking 2 steps back, unable to pluck up the courage to face the great ape Vegeta. Kakarot's son. The great ape Vegeta tilted his head, staring at Son Gohan, disdainfully said, "Are you Saiyan? You really shameless Saiyan, go to hell." He slapped Son Gohan on the head. Gohan, Piccolo, Klin and others yelled anxiously. It's just that they have just been beaten into the air, the blood is surging in their bodies, their breath is unstable, and they have no ability to save people. At this time, a red light flashed by. Boom. Great ape Vegeta's palm was slapped on the ground again, and a huge palm print was directly shot. Huh. The great ape Vegeta found that he hadn't photographed anyone, and couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. He just saw a red light flying by his palm. Soon, the red light took Son Gohan and stopped not far away. The light condensed, revealing a stern expression of Son Goku. Kakarot? The giant ape Vegeta's face showed a surprised look. You still have something to hide? In fact, Vegeta's jealousy was burning at this time. These damn Earthlings, 1 or 2, didn't know what tricks they used, and they all burst their livers. Although he can't pose a threat to him in the great ape state, but fortunately he has become a great ape, otherwise, if he was not careful just now, wouldn't it be cold? Such a situation makes it difficult for Vegeta to accept. In his eyes, people on Earth are just uncivilized primitive people. And the Prince of Saiyan, the dignified fighting nation, almost capsized in the gutter here on Earth, how could anyone accept it? Now even Kakarot, the original Saiyan junior fighter, has jumped out, and he can still save people from his men. This is even more unacceptable. No matter how much power you hide, you will definitely die in my Vegeta hands today. The great ape Vegeta let out a roar, his mouth opened wide, and an energy bomb was rapidly condensing, spraying in the direction of Son Goku in an instant. Not good. Son Goku just calmed Son Gohan's emotions, causing his movements to be half a beat slow, and it was too late to avoid him. Fight. Triple Kaioken. Son Goku gritted his teeth and pulled Son Gohan behind him. A fierce red flame burst into his body, and then he used both hands to meet the energy bomb of the great ape Vegeta. It's just that his whole body muscles are agitated and his veins are beating, which is obviously overloaded. Boom. The energy bomb exploded as soon as it was touched by Son Goku. This is not Kamehameha after all. It has no sustaining power. It is just a single-use bomb, so it explodes as soon as it is touched. The energy swept through, the light spread, and the 2 figures on the spot were swallowed by the blazing light, and there was no way to see what was going on. Goku, Gohan, Klin, Piccolo and others screamed. They had just stabilized their bodies and were more or less injured. Damn, this guy is too powerful to get close at all. It's easy to be avoided with energy bombs from a distance. You must find a way to contain him. Piccolo gritted his teeth. Klin said with a solemn face, perhaps we can find an opportunity to cut off his tail. As long as he can cut off his tail, he will be restored to his original shape. By the way, there is a tail. Piccolo also thought of it. A few people made eye contact for a moment, and soon came up with a preliminary plan. The battlefield situation is changing rapidly, but there is no time for them to discuss it slowly, and they can only decide a simple direction. In the end, they will have to experiment before knowing the result. At this time, the light disappeared in the place that was bombed by the energy bomb, and the smoke was slowly dissipating, and the 2 figures inside were quickly exposed. It turned out to be intact. However, Son Goku was panting heavily, and it was obviously quite exhausting. Vegeta. Son Goku yelled and rushed towards the great ape Vegeta. His speed is very fast, which makes Klin and other people who want to discuss tactics with him completely unresponsive. Kakarot. The great ape Vegeta also yelled, and slapped Son Goku with his huge arm. Vegeta was going crazy, his full blow after the great ape transformed, he didn't even hurt Kakarot. This is simply impossible. So he wants to break this illusion and let everyone know that his Vegeta is the strongest and Kakarot is just a low-level fighter. Son Goku didn't have that much thought. He just couldn't bear the 3 times the load brought by Kaioken. He hoped to solve the battle as soon as possible. 1 man and 1 ape fought fiercely, and the whole surrounding land instantly became ruins and turned into pieces of scorched earth. Bang bang bang. The collision of fists and palms erupted with astonishing power every time, and the powerful waves of air continued to spread, making the Earth warriors in the distance unable to even approach them. Under 3 times Kaioken, Son Goku's strength is infinitely close to that of the great ape Vegeta. Isn't this too powerful? Goku still hides such a powerful force, he can defeat that Saiyan alone. Klin and the others were stunned, the tactics they had just thought of had already been forgotten. Piccolo said solemnly, "No. Son Goku's situation is not right, he seems to be enduring severe pain, and his breath is starting to be messy."
"No, my stamina is almost exhausted," Yamcha interrupted. "You shouldn't be able to hold it for too long, right? Don't you find a chance to do it now?"
After a few people exploded into their potential state, they were beaten up in just a few rounds, and then Son Goku's home court. The chi should have been reduced back, but the situation changed too quickly, and when they thought about this problem, their potential was almost exhausted. Coincidentally, at this time, after Son Goku fisted against the great ape Vegeta, the red light all over his body suddenly flickered and then disappeared, and then he was beaten into the air.
Superior. Piccolo directly took the lead and rushed over, and an energy bomb hit the great ape Vegeta.
Huh, annoying fly. The great ape Vegeta was about to take advantage of the victory to pursue Son Goku, but was stopped by Piccolo and others. When I was in a bad mood, I couldn't even avoid it, using my physical body to block Piccolo's energy bomb. Unscathed. Then, an energy bomb condensed from the mouth of the great ape Vegeta, which happened to be facing a group of Earth warriors. The energy contained in it is even more terrifying than the power of playing Son Goku and Son Gohan before. This time, the great ape Vegeta was indeed impatient.
Scatter. However, it was in the arms of Piccolo and others, who dispersed at the fastest speed, completely avoiding the front.
The energy of the great ape Vegeta has been shot out, and it is impossible to control it anymore. Solve one. Vegeta the great ape grinned. If Piccolo and the others don't disperse, it's okay. The power of gathering everyone should be able to barely stop it, but then everyone will be completely abandoned, and there will be no fighting power.
It doesn't matter if you avoid it. Because of the direction in which this energy bomb hits, a small figure in panic appeared behind him, Son Gohan.
Not good. Piccolo and the others just stepped away, they sensed Son Gohan behind. The closest was Piccolo, so he gritted his teeth and rushed back. No, it's too late. Piccolo's complexion changed, and suddenly he made up his mind, his breath surged.
Drive me. The next moment, boom. The flames on Piccolo suddenly doubled, and his combat power soared directly from 90,000 to 180,000.
He opened the fourth shackle in his body, and his combat power instantly doubled. From 8 times the original third yoke to 16 times now. Piccolo's body almost disappeared in a flash, pushing him away just before the energy bomb hit Son Gohan. However, because of forcibly breaking through the shackles, his breath was not stable, and his physical strength had been exhausted before. This broke out, and the fires suddenly went dumb at the critical moment.
Boom. The energy bomb exploded on Piccolo, swallowing him instantly.
Uncle Piccolo. Son Gohan clearly saw that at the last moment Piccolo fell into weakness, and then was beaten to death by the energy bomb. Boom. Son Gohan ran away. The breath rose steadily, surpassing Klin and others in an instant. Go to hell. Son Gohan kept throwing energy bombs out of his hand, exploding on the giant ape Vegeta one after another. But no matter how violent he goes, the basic combat effectiveness is still weak.
The chi that rose in an instant didn't even reach the strength of 100,000 in the end.
Although he screamed at the great ape Vegeta, his injuries were not very serious, but rather embarrassing. But this is enough. Solar Flare. Tien Shinhan showed off his skill.
The great ape Vegeta let out a scream, covering his eyes with both hands.
Klin throwing his hand as a destructo disc, almost cutting off the tail of the great ape Vegeta. Really, it's a little bit short of it. It's not that he missed, but...
Nu Langya Fengfengquan. Yamcha took the opportunity to rush up and hit the giant ape for a short while, and then the giant ape was staggered, just avoiding the destructo disc.
It's over. Yamcha was dumbfounded. He withdrew from the state of potential, the great ape Vegeta just recovered, and then he stepped on it. Without any suspense, Yamcha was cold, and died worse than Piccolo, directly turned into a puddle of mud. Yamcha. Keelan and Tien Shinhan's eyes were cracked.
Bulma in the distance also yelled in surprise, and with a clatter, the telescope in his hand fell to the ground.
She didn't feel much when Piccolo died, because of the previous Big Devil, and because she had no contact with Piccolo.
Moreover, the battle situation changed so quickly that she couldn't react to it with naked eyes.
But now, Yamcha is dead, but he can see clearly. Although in this world, Yamcha is not her boyfriend, but she is also a good friend who has known each other a long time ago and has a very good relationship.
Baguette, why don't you take action? Everyone is dying. Bulma was so anxious that tears fell. Vegeta touched his nose with some embarrassment.
In fact, he is strong, but in terms of consciousness, he is so-so. After all, he has traveled from the 21st century and grew up in the era of great peace. Can you expect him to have a fighting instinct in his body like Son Goku, who beats and kills all day long? Non-existent. So, when Piccolo died, his brain circuit was like this.
Piccolo is dying, the distance is too far. No matter how fast I am, it will take time, I can't save it.
Piccolo is cold. Damn, I can instant transmission. So that's it. As for Yamcha, well, he admitted that he didn't want to save it. He had no affection for Yamcha, but Yamcha not only killed himself, but also assisted Vegeta. Who would die if he didn't die? Anyway, Piccolo will be resurrected at that time. 1 resurrection is a resurrection, and 2 resurrection are also resurrection. Let him die for a while, and then go to the Realm King to practice. Don't worry, although there was an accident, the scale of victory has already tilted toward us. After the battle is over, we can find a way to revive them. Vegeta could only comfort Bulma in this way. Bulma wiped her tears and said, "You said so easily, are you really going to win? Why can't I tell?" Obviously such a good opportunity was taken away by that damn Yamcha. If you think so, Yamcha deserves to die. But now only Klin and Tien Shinhan, who are running out of energy and stamina, can hold on for a little while, everyone else is gone. How can they win? Son Goku overcharged Kaioken 3 times, and failed to beat Vegeta, so he fell first. The dumpling was beaten into the air at the beginning of the game, but it hasn't appeared. It may be dizzy in which corner to lie. There was also Son Gohan, who became empty again after he exploded and couldn't help at all. As for Raditz and Nappa, can you look forward to those two? Baguette smiled slightly and pointed in one direction. Look over there for yourself. What? Ha! That's Son Jun. Bulma's eyes lit up suddenly. Son Goku did fall, and then he absorbed the vitality of the surrounding plants and forcibly supported it, and now he has condensed a spirit bomb that is not weak in energy. Vegeta judged it a little bit. At this level, he can only severely damage the great ape Vegeta. If he wants to completely defeat it, it will take a while. It's a pity that it's too late, but Vegeta has noticed it. Originally, Tien Shinhan and Klin's potential state had almost exploded. Because of Yamcha's death, it became a high explosion. After a few rounds, they withdrew from their potential state empty. When Vegeta was about to solve them, he was stunned by the spirit bomb on the horizon, and then he found out. Kakarot, you bastard. The great ape Vegeta's complexion changed drastically, and he dropped Klin and Tien Shinhan directly, and ran towards Son Goku in strides.
At the same time, as he stepped, he continuously fired energy bombs from his mouth, all hitting Son Goku, hitting the latter back and forth, and the spirit bomb almost couldn't sustain it.
No, that's all. Son Goku didn't expect to be spotted, but it was almost there. Although the great ape Vegeta cannot be eliminated in one go, as long as it can be hit, the crisis will naturally be lifted. Spirit bomb. Before Vegeta arrived, Son Goku pushed the spirit bomb out.
Damn bastard, I must tear you up. The giant ape Vegeta sensed the threat and couldn't avoid it.
Boom. The spirit bomb exploded, and a cloud of mushrooms rose on the spot. The waves of air rolled and rolled the already weak Son Goku far away, completely exhausting the last physical strength. Tisk tusk, it's really tragic, I didn't expect it to be like this in the end. Baguette Tut praised. This is a good blockbuster, much more exciting than the 3D, 4D, and 5D Houseiwu blockbusters. And he also learned a lot of fighting skills from it, and blended it with the memory in his head. Now let him go back to the time he just crossed, and face Beerus again, he will definitely not be as embarrassed as before. But the final result surprised him. Son Goku and others are so much stronger than the original, and in the end they still lose. I can only say that you really can't float. In the original story, they had no strength. Faced with great apes Vegeta, they could only flee everywhere and reverse the situation through wits. But here, because of the strength, the mentality has drifted, and he has anal with the great ape Vegeta? What kind of strength do you have? Don't you know how to count it? One by one, they deserve it if they die. The end result is as unsuspecting as Yamcha's death. Vegeta was completely planted, hitting the spirit bomb, a highly concentrated essence of Son Goku, and directly exiting the great ape state. The body is also riddled with holes, and it takes a lot of effort to stand up, let alone beat. He is lying in the ruins now. It is hard to say that he has more air intake and less air, but he is also a mermaid. Don't forget, this is the home ground of the people on Earth. Even if Son Goku and them are all gone, some people will clean up Vegeta. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Vegeta roared in a low voice. He never thought that he would die in a ghost place like the Earth. Dignified Prince Saiyan, this is too frustrated. Not reconciled? Suddenly, two figures appeared beside him. Vegeta looked up, his face changed slightly. Raditz, Nappa. You two traitors. Nappa has been resting for a long time, the injury is still there, but the strength has recovered a bit. As for Raditz, he has never fought from start to finish, and of course he is in a complete state. He was now holding his arms, condescending, looking at Vegeta with a sneer. You have the right to say that to me. Nappa's face suddenly became grim. Vegeta was going to kill him just now. A faint gloom flashed under Vegeta's eyes. Indeed, if there was no convulsion in his head just now, maybe Nappa could block him at a critical time, but that would not be the case. Of course, even if he regrets it in his heart, Vegeta is the proud Prince Saiyan and will never bow his head. Raditz also sneered. If you didn't force me to come to the Earth to find Kakarot, do you think I would be like this? But I want to thank you, Vegeta, your good days are over, and I just started. Good day? Vegeta sneered, don't laugh at me, Raditz, even if you survive, you are just prisoners. Hey, let me tell you one more thing. Raditz smiled happily. You should be thankful that Vegeta didn't make a move today, otherwise your body would have been cold. His strength is far from what you can imagine. Do you know what was going on here before I came to Earth? Kakarot, the most powerful fighter, was only more than 400, but now? The pupils in Vegeta's eyes shrank slightly, as if thinking of something. Nappa was surprised and asked, could it be Vegeta? That's right. Raditz nodded. Under his guidance, in 1 year, the combat power of those Earthlings has risen from 1 or 200 to 5 or 6,000, and Kakarot has increased from more than 400 to 50,000. My Raditz is poor. It's a little bit, but it's also increased from 1,500 to 6,000. At the end, Raditz grinned, showing his big white teeth, looking very proud. What? Vegeta and Nappa looked shocked, and at the same time they understood why Raditz had the confidence to speak to them in this tone. Very surprised, right? Even more surprised at the back. Raditz smiled mysteriously and said, a year ago, a scientist on Earth used my detector to transform and made a new type of detector that is more concealed, more stable, and can detect unlimited detection. He took out the invisible detector in his eyes, which was a reward given by Bulma for his contribution to the detector. That's it. Vegeta finally understood. No wonder he always felt that those people on Earth seemed to be able to see his strength, and he thought it was Raditz who betrayed his information. Hey, this is not what I want to say. Raditz said. What I want to say is that with this new unlimited detector, a year ago, we detected that Vegeta's combat power was minus 500,000. Vegeta and Nappa trembled all over, their eyes widened suddenly. Then Raditz gave another heavy hammer. Moreover, he has injured himself, and his strength is greatly limited. 500,000 is only a small part. Over the past year, he has recovered a lot. It's just that the people on Earth will hide. With the ability of breath, I couldn't detect the specific value of Vegeta. But I suspect that he is the legendary Super Saiyan. Vegeta and Nappa don't know what to say anymore. Their expressions are sluggish. This is the result of excessive shock, numbness. After a while, Vegeta recovered, and suddenly clenched his fists, his teeth crunching. Joke, Super Saiyan, it's just nonsense. Even if there is Super Saiyan, it can only be my Vegeta. Vegeta's glass heart exploded again. Nappa didn't believe it either. If it's Super Saiyan, how could it be injured? It's impossible. I didn't want to convince you. Raditz grinned, and said, I was just to show off. Vegeta suddenly wanted to beat this stuff, but it was a pity that he couldn't move a bit now. Hey, they're here. Just let me witness what will happen to you, Prince Saiyan. Raditz took his arms and walked to the side, posing for the excitement. By the time Raditz came to talk to Vegeta, Klin and Tien Shinhan had recovered a bit of energy, found Son Goku, Son Gohan and Dumplings, and walked over together.
Vegeta originally thought that he could see a different good show, and even rescued Vegeta at the critical moment, which was regarded as returning the favor of the flesh.
As a result, Son Goku was as innocent as the original, and after persuading Klin, Tien Shinhan and others, he let Vegeta go. Nappa did not go with Vegeta, but chose to stay on Earth with Raditz.
He wanted to verify whether Super Saiyan's affairs were true or not.
As for the death of Piccolo and Yamcha, Klin still thought of Namek's Dragon Ball, and then Son Goku got the specific location of Namek from King Kai. The universe spaceship is not a problem. Raditz was pulled by Bulma to do research a long time ago.
Just imitate that one and make a bigger spaceship, just like the spaceship that Son Goku took in the original.
Of course, it takes time to build a spaceship. Finally, it was the question that Vegeta did not make a move. Although everyone briefly discussed it, no one dared to blame Vegeta. They all know that Vegeta is an outsider and he has been recovering from his injuries. He has given them so many pointers this year, which has made everyone's strength a great improvement. It can be said that the biggest credit for being able to fight this battle today is Vegeta. Why do they blame Vegeta? What's more, Son Goku had arrived before Vegeta took the shot.
According to Son Goku's character, even if Vegeta wanted to make a move at the time, I'm afraid Son Goku would not agree.
That's it. Everyone rests while waiting for Bulma to build the spacecraft. Then they will head to the hometown of Piccolo and the gods Namek. At the same time, the Emperor of the Universe Frieza, after getting information about Vegeta on Earth from his men, also learned about Dragon Ball, so he rushed to Namek with his men first. Super Saiyan? The one called Vegeta? Frieza was sitting in the BB car, shaking slightly with a glass of red juice in her hand, her eyes cold. If Super Saiyan only has a combat power of several 100,000, it would be really disappointing. In that case, I would regret destroying planet Vegeta in the first place. Frieza sneered and said, after all, those wild monkeys are indeed good tools, just like Vegeta. Although sometimes they are disobedient, but as long as you teach them a little bit and let them know the gap between them and me, they will honestly. Yes, King Frieza. Sabo next to him said respectfully and earnestly, hundreds of thousands of fighting power is nothing to King Frieza. But this has far exceeded Saiyan's limit, and it is also called Super Saiyan. It's very suitable, but it's a little different from what we imagined. That's right, Mr. Sabo, you know what I think best. Frieza smiled, drank the drink in one sip, and then said, it's also possible that the fellow rats was deliberately talking nonsense, that Vegeta. It's not Super Saiyan. Sabo froze for a moment, and said in deep thought, it is indeed possible. Anyway, this Vegeta must be eliminated. I don't allow forces beyond my control to appear in the universe. Frieza stared coldly into the depths of the universe. Sabo bowed and said, do you need to call the Kanuate team? Come on. Let them go directly to Namek and wait. Frieza thought for a while, and said, although they should not be Vegeta's opponents, but let them see a stronger power, just to reduce the pride. An arrogant character. After I have collected the Dragon Ball and obtained the immortal body, I will go to the Earth myself. I want to see what this wild monkey can do. Super Saiyan. Of the conversation between Frieza and Sabo, Vegeta was naturally unclear, and even if he knew it, he wouldn't care. At this time, it has been half a month since Vegeta left the Earth. Because there are so many people going to Namek this time, Son Goku, Son Gohan, Klin, Tien Shinhan, Dumplings, Raditz, Nappa. Counting Bulma and Vegeta, there are 9 people in total. Therefore, Bulma must transform a universe ship with a larger space. Moreover, during the period Bobo came to the door and contributed the universe ship of the celestial god. Although the speed of Namek's universe ship is not as fast as that of Saiyan, it has many functions and is more convenient. Finally, Bulma combined the 2 universe ships into one, transforming a completely different new universe ship. Because of this, with the help of Dr. Breff, it can be made in half a month. As for Vegeta, he stayed in Kalinta all these hours and helped Kalen to grow fairy beans together. In half a month, he just got 100. It is worth mentioning that these fairy beans were grown with super god water. The seeds are readily available. Karen-sama didn't explain the origin. Anyway, you can plant as many as you want. The soil is not particular about it. After planting, it is irrigated with super god water and then spawned through magic, which is the power of rules. Karen-sama grows 10 at a time, and it usually grows in about a month. It's just that the success rate is not high. Under normal circumstances, only 3 or 4 can be harvested at a time, and the rest are all dead. Moreover, after a season of planting, he had to rest for 3 to 5 months to make up for his energy consumption. Knowing this method, Vegeta began to study the way the power of rules gave birth, and then, under Karen-sama's shocked and speechless gaze, he managed to get 100 of them all at once. Well, I have been researching for the first 10 days, and 100 will be born in the next 5 days. The success rate is 100%. And looking at the relaxed look of Vegeta's face, it seems that there is no loss at all, and there is no need to wait for the CD to unfreeze like Karen-sama. 6 days later, wow, is this Namek? The environment is really good. The hometown of Tenjin and Piccolo. Very primitive. It is said that Namek people love the environment, so it must be different from the Earth. Not long after the spacecraft landed, a group of Earth fighters rushed out, looking at the outside environment and yelling. Immediately behind them were Raditz and Nappa, both of them holding their arms and watching the hillbilly enter the city. Oh, it's finally here, it's so boring. Vegeta stretched out and walked out. I knew I would not take the universe spacecraft a long time ago, and I came here with instant transmission. Staying in a space for a long time with this group of weird characters can drive people crazy. Especially the guy Son Goku, like the monkey in Journey to the West, can't stay idle, always jumping up and down. Son Goku, who is free, is a bear child suffering from ADHD, and is restless for a moment. Bulma nodded in sympathy, and uttered an unhappy face. Sure enough, only the two of us are normal people here. I can't understand their thinking at all. Just say that now. I haven't detected the oxygen content and gravity, so they rushed out rashly. What if the environment of Namek is too different from that of the Earth, and the Earth people can't adapt? Vegeta laughed and shook his head, and he couldn't say that Bulma was thinking about it incorrectly. It's just that the martial arts school has breath protection. There is no need to think about it so much, they simply ignore the feelings of ordinary people like Bulma. Forget it. It really doesn't make sense with these guys. Let me check the Dragon Ball situation first. Bulma took out a radar and clicked. Didi. Look. There is a reaction. There really is a Dragon Ball here. Bulma shouted in surprise, attracting everyone's attention. Is there really a Dragon Ball? Aha, great, great. A few people on Earth hugged together with joy. In this way, both Piccolo and the gods can be resurrected, and the Dragon Ball of the Earth will be resurrected. Vegeta glanced at the radar and reminded. Don't be happy so early. It seems that someone is collecting Dragon Balls. If someone else gets on the ground first, don't blame me for not reminding you. The radar showed that the 4 Dragon Balls gathered together and were rushing to the position of the 5th Dragon Ball. Without even thinking about it, Vegeta knew it must be Frieza's group. Really? Son Goku looked serious, and I can sense that there seems to be a lot of evil auras gathered together, and one of them is very, very powerful. To be honest, I am not an opponent at all. What? Let me see. Klin was taken aback, and quickly looked at the direction Son Goku was sensing, and at the same time used the invisible detector. No wonder Klin was so nervous. After Son Goku returned from the Realm King, his combat power increased to 50,000. After playing Vegeta, it was raised to 80,000 after recovery. After this period of practice, and after challenging the limit twice, he was resurrected from the dead. Now he has a full combat power of 150,000. With such a high combat effectiveness, he still said he was not an opponent at all. How scary is the other party? Dididi. Combat power, 20,000 strength, 20,000. Combat power, 22,000 strength, 22,000 combat power, 530,000. Strength. Unknown. Hiss. Klin took a breath, his pupils shrinking sharply. It was the first time that he saw a person with such a high combat effectiveness. Of course, Vegeta doesn't count, because Vegeta's combat effectiveness is always hidden, and no one knows the specific value. Moreover, the energy intensity of the opponent is unknown, which means that it is likely to far exceed the value of 530,000. It was written before that Bulma didn't know the combat power of Vegeta, because it was far away and could not be detected. Well, it is indeed wrong. The detector can sense the position, and of course it can also detect from a distance. But this is just a short paragraph. It doesn't affect the plot. Just treat it as a small bug, don't change it. How come? Are the Namek people so scary? After Tien Shinhan probed, all 3 of his eyes were widened, and his forehead was covered with cold sweat. The dumplings trembled all over, and almost got into Tien Shinhan's arms. Vegeta said leisurely. Didn't the king of the world say that the Namek people are gentle and peaceful? How could their breath be evil? So there should be alien creatures invading, and they want to forcibly snatch the Dragon Ball. This is likely to bring a huge disaster to the Namek people, so. What are you going to do? No. I'm going to take a look. Son Goku exploded and flew away. Let's go too. Klin, Tien Shinhan, and Dumplings also flew away. Son Gohan hesitated for a moment, bowed slightly to Vegeta and Bulma, left a sentence of, I'm going too, and flew away as well. Hey. Are they stupid? Nappa shivered with cold sweat on his forehead. Those guys are obviously. But, why are they here? Raditz also thought of the other person's identity, and his face was also nervous. You ask me, who do I ask? Kakarot, and they are just looking for death. Hey, what do you mean? Bulma looked at the two of them and asked. Do you know who the other person is? You better don't know. Raditz clenched his fists and said, the most correct thing to do now is to call Kakarot and the others back. We will leave Namek by spacecraft immediately, as far away as possible.